All right, guys, so today for Project Stranger Things, we are going to be installing new injectors. Now, I'm very excited about these things. They are DeatschWerks injectors. They're 2200 cc's, and ultimately what kind of sold me on these injectors and upgrading beyond my 120s, which I was hitting 95% injector duty cycle, so I was kind of already at the ceiling just on wastegate boost pressure, and I want to turn the car up now that I've got some seat time in the car. I would like to try and get down the track a little bit quicker and experience a little bit more boost safely, right? So these DeatschWerks injectors, they are fantastic, right? So every DeatschWerks injector set ships with flow reports, and it's showing that the set was ultimately hand balanced and hand gone through the team and everything there, and it's all done in-house using what they call as their like multi-point dynamic flow testing procedure, right? And it's not just a generic like spec sheet, here you go, these are what these injectors do. They're actual, all 8 of my actual injectors that I got here are individually ID'd. So each one's got their own different number on it, came from a batch order and everything there. They're all tested and matched across 3 operating ranges. And now let me talk a little bit about these operating ranges. They're pretty important as to why I wanted to go with these DeatschWerks injectors. Now, we'll start in the bottom here. We've got the low range, which is like a 1 to 2 milliseconds. This kind of covers your idle in that case. It's like light throttle cruising, deceleration factors. This is where like the big injectors really get that bad reputation when it comes to kind of a street car, because accurate testing down here really requires, very expensive electronic flow, tools and things like that. And honestly, most companies skip that, especially when it comes to bigger injectors, because they assume, it's going in a race car and things like that. Now, DeatschWerks, on the other hand, they don't skip that phase. That is a very crucial, very important phase for them as well. So they balance it. They set it within like, I think it was like a 3% window of range in there. And that they have like a low pulse with balancing. And it's really what makes these 2200 cc injectors be a part of like what this car is in this sense, right? Like the street driving or driving down to, go get ice cream or part of the cruises. It's not that fear of the big injectors. That's what I love about these DeatschWerks injectors. Now, there's a few other pieces as well that I want to touch a little bit on too, as to why these injectors are fantastic. They have all 3 of those ranges, right? You've got the low, now you've got like a transitional range, which is that 2 to 4 millisecond window, and it covers a lot of that non-linear zone where like the high flow injectors actually spend most of their time, and these things are balanced within 2% of that part. And then you've got your linear range. Now that is your 4 to 10 millisecond window. It's a medium, it's a high load, which for me in this case, right, it means boost, right? This is the balance within about 2% is what DeatschWerks says for it. So it allows for a way more aggressive kind of timing and boost pressure without that one cylinder running leaner that you typically could run into, right? So on a Turbo 408, like Project Stranger Things here, chasing, 8 seconds and maybe even quicker in the quarter mile, cylinder to cylinder fuel balance is honestly the difference between me getting a nice time slip and me coming back in here having to tear this thing down. So each injector, they get a spray pattern. They're checked within, I believe it's 5 degrees, plus or minus of that. And then they also get a leak test under I think they said it was like a half SCRM, before it goes into the box and then shipped out to me. So they're thoroughly gone through. These things are really nice. They're a great bang for the buck, and honestly, they're probably going to be some of the best injectors on the market, and I'm very excited about them to get these things in there. So if you're curious too, as well, when it comes to the DeatschWerks injectors, if you're starting to do some research for your car, jump on their website. They've got a bunch of tuning data and a bunch of breakdowns. I believe they've got some sort of calculator now as well, where you can kind of figure out exactly what part number and what injector you're going to need for your system. So those guys are fantastic over there. I would highly check them out, but let's go ahead and get in this install. All right, so like I said, I've got 120-pound injectors in there. The small block Ford, obviously with the E85, with the big turbo on there, it starts to consume fuel very, very quickly, and we jumped up in duty cycle up to 95% pretty fast, just on 9 pounds of boost. So getting these injectors in, these DeatschWerks injectors are going to be huge for me. So right now, these are what the 120s look like, and we'll come back and take a look when the two 2200s are in. So here's the DeatschWerks box. I've already opened this up. Take a look inside of it here. Let's get this open up for you guys. So this is what the connection looks like at this point. I do need to modify mine right here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be cutting these away, and then I'm going to solder and put in the new connectors right into that spot there, and then I'll have my injectors that'll go seated into the intake, and we'll be good there. But that's the close-up of them, and that's the process that I'm going to have to take. Now, DeatschWerks does sell universal connector kits and everything that you need to for this, so this is just the route that I'm taking for mine here at this point, but I'm super excited to get this rocking. All right, so what we're going to do here is I'm just going to cut this back just beyond the pigtail here, and so first connector is off, as you see. So this is cylinder 6 in this case here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take one of our butt connectors, see how far in it is going to need to go, and then mark it right here with my finger at this point. And this is a 16 gauge wire, so we're going to come back, line it up here with the strippers, and cut it back at that point. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to take one of the connectors over here. So I've already got pre-cut, but I'm going to snip this back just a little bit here. Get me a little further out. So what I like to do is I like to feed this in to the connector, push it through to the other side, and then I like to twist these together. That way they are pretty tight already before we put any heat to them. And so they're already pretty tight at that point. Inside these butt connectors is a little bit of solder, and so you just want to heat those up. And once it melts, you'll see like a liquidy inside of it. And then from there, you know the solder's moved around and caught onto it. So as you can see the liquid inside of it. So I like to let it settle for a minute before I give it a good yank, just to make sure everything is indeed tight, and once it kind of dries in there a little bit. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replicate this over and over and over through all 8 cylinders, and at that point we'll be able to go back over to the car, get the old 120s out of there, and then put the new DeatschWerks 2200s in. So we'll see you in a second. Harness is complete now. We've got this all tied in with the Holley harness, so all I gotta do now is go back to the car and start putting this harness together, feed it back to my intake, make it all look really clean, and then rip out the 120s, and then go ahead and put the 2200s in. So now that the 120s are out, I've got the rail out the way here. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the grease that DeatschWerks supplies with their kits. Now, if you're doing this at home, you can if they don't have the grease for some reason, or however, you can use brand new motor oil. So don't make sure you go in and use some used stuff. You want to use brand new stuff. But you're just applying a little bit of lubrication right here to the O-rings. Never, never, ever want to put these in there dry, guys. Okay. that first one is sitting there now. That's nice. So, my case here, just give it a little bend, line this all back up together. Let's get this harness out of the way here. Back down underneath the rail as it belongs. All right. Okay. Now, most importantly is you just want to make sure everything's seated, so just give it a few push points right here on it. And feel around it, make sure the O-ring, the lubed up O-ring went up inside. And if you're good, then guess what? Screw it back in. Fuel injectors are put in on this side here. You can see, so they're all seated, they're in the rail. The injectors on this side are now plugged in, so we've got the harness ran to it here. So both sides are now in. I gotta wait for my tune from my tuner, but other than that, I should be able to fire things up as soon as that tune comes in. Check for leaks, make sure everything's good, make sure they're firing the way they should be, and hey, we're going to be good. We'll be rocking with some DeatschWerks 2200cc injectors, and then from there, we're going to be out to the track next. We're going to go start getting some data logs and show you guys what that looks like. So now that I've got my new tune loaded, we're going to try and fire this thing.